Yo, what is up, guys? Oh my god. Sorry. Sorry, Charlie. All right. Here we go. There you guys go, so you guys can see that. Ooh, okay, so I feel bad. Hopefully everybody understood that to get that link. And I also put it in a members only post. Um, so when I was deep diving this, I was like, okay, what did they do after what happened here? There's the first presser. They got the tower info, okay. Um, Brian Colbert doesn't ping on that. They get the Cash App back. They have the second presser. So what did they really have at the second press conference? They had nothing. Okay. They had 38 interviews. You get your 4 Facebook accounts back. You get your router back. This is the router. Okay. Um, that's router. Then you have your third presser. So what did they have? You guys, what information did they have? They had interviews. They had whatever interviews that they had, and the router, Facebook, Cash App. Okay. They got the Apple warrant back. Then they got the camera footage from 9 to 12. Um, then they put be on the lookout for right here, the white Elantra. Now think about this, guys. Um, how do I want to say this? What's a very good proper way to say this? They move on this white Elantra, in my opinion, quickly based on this is what they have. This is what they have back. This is what they're getting back. This is not what they put in for. This isn't the order that they put it in for. This is the order that they got their stuff back. Okay. And now again, these are just search warrants. So whatever leads that they got from these interviews wouldn't be from search warrants. All right. So I took them all, put them in chronological order, and then go back to this part. Now let's go to here. This is when they get DoorDash back. Okay. We don't know when they put it in, but that's when they got it back. Now, I think it's weird, guys, about this DoorDash. If I came to you as a police officer and I was like, oh my goodness, I just delivered to them. I just delivered to them. Well, you wouldn't know that you just delivered to anybody because they weren't out there barking what house it was. Okay. That doesn't come out for a couple days. All right. So, and then depending on who this DoorDash would be, I mean, and if you're watching the news, it just depends, I guess, what type of person you are. But just because the DoorDash person comes forward, and if I said, so let's say that it happens this way. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize this, but I started seeing the news. I said whatever, and I was at that house. That's the DoorDash I took that night. Okay. And I delivered to them. Here's my account. Here's my. What would you go to the police with? Would you go to the police and hand them like your phone to say, "Here, take a look at my past DoorDashes"? Okay. But what I thought was weird about it is if this person comes forward and they give this information, right? Why wasn't the why where in it is the DoorDash app? Like the information that they wanted was to do about whoever. I'm going to pull it up. Where is it? Here. They wanted all information in your possession from DoorDash or control related to sales, deliveries, purchases, and or transactions made to 1122 King Road. Now, I'm guessing that, maybe in their extraction and the dump, all of these applications, I still think that you would have to have a warrant for the app itself for each person's phone in their actual application, like their account. Because this is not asking for their account. This is asking for, they want anything to do with 1122 King Road. So is that a different approach with, okay, let's just type in our records, this address, and here's a list of any and all deliveries that we sent there. Here you go. Okay. Now, think about this. If I go and I'm the DoorDash person and I say, oh my God, I delivered to them. Here you go. Here's my phone. This is my driver app. This is where I was, and you're giving them this whole spiel. Okay. And they look at me and they're like, okay, Lana, thank you so much for coming forward. What would you ask me? Wouldn't you have some questions for me? Did this person email the tip line? Did this person really get in their vehicle, drive to the station and say, hey, I need to talk to somebody? Okay. How do you think that all happened? So much so that why are you asking about the whole past year? You want to know from January 1st of 2022 to present day. Okay. But if I came forward and gave you all this information, then you would just say, okay, you would then you would ask a question like this. What kind of car do you drive? Okay, perfect. Then you would show the screen hey, can you identify your vehicle when you came? Oh, yep, there's me. That's me right there. Or would you just take down all their information, let them say their spiel, and then say, okay, hey, we need to go get a search warrant for DoorDash for the whole year? What? I mean, this is a person that's saying that they were there at the time of the murder. What do you mean you were there at 4:00 a.m. serving a DoorDash? Yeah. I was there at 4:00 in the morning serving a DoorDash. Here's my phone. Wouldn't you as a police officer be like, we need to talk to you. Like heavily, because now, I mean, this is when you're saying people are getting stabbed to death. So during the time frame of when you're saying that people were getting stabbed to death, somebody's saying that I delivered a DoorDash there at 4:00 in the morning. Do you think they were like, holy shit, we are fucked. We need to now change the time frame of this homicide that we said was between 3 and 4. We need to push it back between 4 and 4:25 because somebody ordered a DoorDash. And how would that happen if they're not alive? I mean, wouldn't these officers be like scratching their heads to say, wait, what time did you deliver a DoorDash? Wait, and you actually physically gave somebody? I got DoorDash last night at 5 o'clock in the morning for the mere fact, whatever time I got off that live. I I've been testing DoorDash. I've been doing all this crazy shit with DoorDash for the past month. You should see my DoorDash. Giving them weird instructions. Writing things like, I want to pay you in cash. And then they're writing me back saying your card's already been charged. I'm just trying any and everything that would just be like, okay, let's create this situation. So last night, this guy from, I don't know, it told me like his name and the car and stuff like that. And it gave me, because it was so late at night, I guess, I get a text message that comes through and it says, Jeffrey is approaching, and can you please turn on an outside light so that it is not completely dark? I'm like, what? No, motherfucker, I am in bed. Jeffrey. But my lights automatically go on. So here, are both the links running? Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. I wanted to end that so that people weren't confused. Sorry about that. So going back to this whole DoorDash thing and like, when did DoorDash come forward? But then here, hey guys, let's put a search warrant out there because I want to know any and every date and time of sales, date and time of deliveries, purchases and or transactions, name and identification of the driver, a full description of the vehicle used, any and all communications between drivers and the purchasers. Okay. So then I went back to the PCA. And in the PCA, it's saying that we identified the DoorDash driver. Okay. We identified the DoorDash driver. In this description of what they asked for, it sounds to me that they asked for this and in this manner prior to ever speaking to a DoorDash driver. Prior to ever speaking to a DoorDash driver. Because call me crazy, but if somebody would have come forward to me and said that they DoorDash and had a delivery and I talked to them about everything, why would I give a rat's ass what deliveries happened in January of 2022 when none of these people lived there? January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Why would I care about any of that? Now, as a police, now hear me, I just say like, everything should matter, everything should matter. Absolutely. But these guys don't care about that. But on this specific warrant, they want to go all the way back to January of 2022 to present to include the date and time of sales. date and time of deliveries, purchases and or transactions. These people didn't even live at that address. So if I tell you, so then let's say that I'm interviewing Bethany or Dylan, and they're the ones that say, well, Xana ordered a DoorDash that night. So like, um, so think about what Dylan's statement is that she heard somebody say there's somebody here. So wouldn't this be a normal thing to say? Yeah, I heard them say something about maybe somebody's here, and maybe it was the DoorDash guy because I remember that Xana had ordered a DoorDash earlier, or Ethan had ordered a DoorDash, earlier, and so they're over here and they're like, oh, DoorDash, you got a DoorDash. So, do you know what she ordered? Like, were you up for that? And so, if like Dylan knows about all of this, then how can you be sleeping and being in a room at 1 o'clock in the morning? But yet you know that there was a DoorDash delivery. Yes, Anna, and I'm going to talk about what actually you just wrote. So that's where I'm getting. Okay. Is think about this. You have to take everything that these people have ever said to you. So if you're telling me in one breath, like that you went to your room and you went to bed, and then you say that you got awoken and that you'd been in your bed since 1, and then you get awoken, you thought maybe Kaylee was playing with the dog. Then you hear somebody say somebody's here, and I say, yeah, looking back at it, it could have been the DoorDash that Ethan and Xana ordered. Maybe that's what they were talking about. I don't know. And then I'd be like, wait, what DoorDash? And then you're like, oh yeah, they ordered a DoorDash. And I would say, well, when? At 1 o'clock, and it got there at 4? Because how would you know that they ordered a DoorDash if it was after 1 o'clock? Because you said you were in your freaking room sleeping, and you said you were downstairs, or at least not sleeping, but like you were, so okay. That to me is how I believe it would come out naturally to find out about a DoorDash. And then naturally, okay, you would think that this DoorDash that allegedly occurred, okay, well, I guess we'll put a search warrant in for this DoorDash. Because if you go look at the PCA, it's very vague about everything to do with this DoorDash. So what they keep from the public is the white Elantra and the DoorDash. And those are the two things that have hella issues. Okay. Because if somebody would have come forward, in my opinion, and told me who they were and that they were that DoorDash from that night, and they were able to identify their vehicle, and that the vehicle that here, what vehicle did you use? Okay, so I take a look. Okay, yeah, that matches the vehicle that was there that night at that time. We see it passing the white Elantra. We see it at the house, whatever. But if Dylan or Bethany told you about a DoorDash, or you do a dump on their phones and you're extracting all the data, if one of them told you that, don't you think you'd be putting in that search warrant to find out about that you think there was a DoorDash? And if you went through the house and you found, even if it could have been like a day old, or like a, because guess what DoorDash does? I've been taking pictures of my receipts and doing shit like with crazy stuff. And it like notes all of that on there. It's so like, it's like your drive. It's like, That's all going to be on that receipt in your bag, stapled to your, like, whatever. But they don't, so we don't know when they put this in, but they get it back on 12/6, and they ask for all this crazy crap that has to do with, and it's not crazy and it's not crap, but if somebody came forward to you and gave you all this information and you're able to then identify that that's the person that delivered that night, here they are giving all this information, then honestly, like, I would want to know what this warrant is for. Unless if it was just done after the fact to, I just don't even think that you would need to do that, because you have all the information from your driver. They can download all of their stuff too, and you'd be able to have both people's apps. Like, here, you would take the DoorDash's phone, you would say, can we, will you sign off for us to extract the data out of your phone for that? Like, people get asked that all the time, and then you sign a waiver for that, and then all you want to ever waive, though, is you have no rights to any part of my phone other than that app. That's what you'd want to sign. But that's how that would have been handled. So just me looking at this from having, not an ounce of, I've never gone to police academy, but my background is criminal justice. The methodical way that you would get to this point is if somebody coughed this up in an interview, then you would put a search warrant in, okay? Or if you came across it in a discovery dump of their phones, extracting with Cellbrite and whatever. But this doesn't tell me that somebody came forward. This doesn't tell, this search warrant doesn't tell me that. And I want to know why you want to know about everything from January until present day. Because if anybody knows anything about DoorDash, you don't know who you're going to be delivering to. And that was kind of like my point when they say that, well, Brian could have been using a burner phone. Guys, I don't give a fuck what phone Brian could have been using. You have no idea what DoorDash you're ever going to get. You're on an app, and when it comes through, you swipe it and you take it. You do not know where you're delivering to until literally you accept the delivery. Okay. So anybody that says he could have placed the order from his phone, a burner, and then accepted it with a burner, I'm telling you, you're crazy. That's not how that works at all. Unless you seriously think that he figured out a way to make it so that he was using two phones to be able to place the order, and then if Brian wasn't able to get it, they would cancel it really quickly. And I don't even know if that's possible. You only have a couple seconds to cancel that. But there is no way that Brian would know. It's not like they called the store and said, hey, I would want my Chinese food, and yep, deliver it to here. And he worked there, and he knew that he'd be the delivery person because he delivers for them and he's going to take all the deliveries. Okay. So I'm telling you right now that the only thing that makes sense is if somebody on the inside of that house was to tell somebody on the outside of that house, hey, Xana just ordered DoorDash, so we can pull it off tonight. Xana just ordered a DoorDash. So where'd she order it from? They ordered it from this place. Okay, so then you could go there yourself order something, but you're putting yourself on camera, going if they have cameras at the drive-through, order whatever, and then take it there to be the DoorDash person. But guess what? Then you're gonna have two people showing up. Okay. Or you could say, hey, they ordered a DoorDash, so it's coming, so you can probably get in the house through what? You know damn well with DoorDash is what they do is they leave it by your doorstep, they take a picture, and they notify you. Especially that late at night. They're not gonna be ringing no doorbells. No DoorDash does that. Go to a house and start ringing the doorbell like an idiot. Okay. So the DoorDash being a ruse for what though? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Um if unless you ordered it after the fact, unless you ordered it after the fact, and then you used one of your roommate's phones to order it after the fact when people were dead, but still that has nothing to do with Brian Kohlberger. That still does not mean that Brian Kohlberger will be the DoorDash person because he has no way to get that DoorDash. You guys understanding this? That doesn't make any sense because there's going to be an actual DoorDash driver that's coming to the house. And the only thing that you could try to do and say with that is, oh, that there was another car that was there. Well, the DoorDash person is in and out in a matter of a minute or two. Okay? Period. So to gain entry into the house, you would place a DoorDash. Think about that. No offense, why wouldn't you just kick the door in? That's how you think that you're going to gain entry? No. What I think this was is it's one of those times in all murders that people try to plot and plan and do. There's a X factor that nobody could have ever accounted for. Nobody thought, holy shit, Xana ordered a DoorDash. Okay. Because if this place took so long to get somewhere. Okay. Or that it was done after the fact. And people were already dead. Because again, why is everybody saying that people are dead at this time versus that time? Yada, yada, yada. You're never going to know what the DoorDash person is driving to say, oh, look at the DoorDash person had a white Elantra and so did I. I mean, come on. No. I think for me, it's more important when the DoorDash was placed and with what device it was placed with and with what account it was placed with. But the DoorDash person, in my opinion, did not come running forward. Because I struggle with why you would have a search warrant go out on 12/6 or come back to you on 12/6 asking for all of this information. Yeah, it's impossible to coordinate to actually achieve. It's actually impossible. Unless Brian like literally sat there and was like, you know what? The day that I finally get their DoorDash is the day that I'm going to kill them. Okay. So no, Brian's not the DoorDash. I think it's one of those situations that it's put a huge wrench into this timeline what they were trying to go with. Okay. And nobody could have expected that because maybe they didn't know about it. Isn't it possible that the DoorDash person arrived after everybody was dead? And then somebody could say, "Oh, but the food was in it wasn't outside, it was inside." And because I'll tell you what I do at my friend's house. If all these people came over the next morning, okay, and they saw food sitting at the door and they just grabbed it and walked in and then sat it down, there could be many variables as to why that food was, if it was inside. But at the end of the day, for me, there's something wrong with the DoorDash. Something wrong with this DoorDash. Nobody knew about it. When I decide to order a DoorDash, I just get on my app, I just get on my phone really quick and I boom, 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 boom. But now in college, do you want to know what you do? Hey, I'm ordering from DoorDash. Anybody want any food? Anybody want any food? I'm ordering from DoorDash. Because let me tell you what you don't want to do. You don't have 4 or 6 people living in a home together and order all separate DoorDashes and pay that fee. You order your food from one place so that you're not hitting on like, hey, I'm going to order from DoorDash. Does anybody want anything from, X, Y, and Z? Therefore making it, known. Everybody was home by 2 and in their rooms by 4. How the fuck do you know that? Who told you that? So some people were in the rooms before 4. But how would you know, like, how would that person be able to say that the last person to go to bed is the person that's going to be able to say that? Right? Or are you just assuming that because that's where people were murdered? They were in their rooms. I said, with the exception of Xana. And I said to myself, well, how do you know that Xana wasn't in her room? Why couldn't Ethan have gone and got the DoorDash? Just because I order a DoorDash does not mean that I'm the one that goes to the door to get it. Why do you think that Xana down to get the DoorDash? And then was it on the first floor? Was it at the siding door? I mean, where was this DoorDash at? Why did Brian come there at 3:29 and drive by the house at 3:29 and not go inside that at that point and go in there and kill anybody? Because there were no parking spots? What? What are you talking about? Came there at 3:29, passed the house not once, twice, 3 times between 3:29 and 4:04 when it returns at 4:04 for its 4th time. How come at 3:29 this person who was doing this in this vehicle that allegedly killed everybody, how did that person know that not everybody was in their rooms yet because it wasn't 4 yet, right? What, because the lights were still on? Oh, the lights are still on, so they're still up. So let me just drive around, and then I'll just keep driving back until what? The lights are all off? And then people will tell you, well, you can't think what that person is thinking. That you shouldn't think about what they're thinking because you're thinking logically. No, I'm trying not to think at all. I'm trying to think that if I went over to kill somebody, I drive to their house, I get out of the vehicle, out of the way of anything, so I can't be seen, and I go in the house. I didn't have the courage to do it yet, so I had to like pump myself up. So what? But yeah, this is a person that's been stalking them and knows that there's cameras all over. Do you guys understand that they believed the homicides occurred between 3 and 4 p.m. or 3 and 4 a.m.? Why did they believe that? When they came out and said that, I mean, these girls went to the grub truck. Ethan and Xana are home at 1:45. Everybody's they're there at 1, then they're there at 1:45, then the girls come right behind him at like 1:56, 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And what was everybody doing between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning? What was going on? I mean, it's college. What are you doing? Well, I'm just gonna order some DoorDash. I'm gonna have some sex. I'm gonna smoke some weed. I'm gonna what, nightcap? I mean, continue to drink. I mean, what? Think all these kids just came home and they just all went their separate ways and went in their bedrooms, but they're all roommates. You don't think they came home and were blasting music or anything like that? No. Hmm. So then from 11:29, you find out Brian's name and you get Xana's second Facebook account, Banner Bank, the cable company, Google, Tinder account. I don't see any search warrants for any of the sorority or fraternity houses. They just let you guys in. Then the day before you ask the public for help with the White Elantra on 12/7, you get your return DoorDash information. And is it then that you decided, okay, the person that drove the vehicle there that night wasn't driving a White Elantra, so then we're asking for the public's help because we need to talk to this person. We really need to talk to this person. And then you find these people, but you never talk to them. Do you think it's at all possible that you wanted to gather any and all information about anybody that was to come forward with a White Elantra to then check out their background, to see who these people were, to then see, I mean, when you're talking about a complete frame job, if I don't go and talk to you, So when they were getting all this information about these White Elantra people that had them, and people were calling the tip line, it was just getting flooded. Um, did you talk to anybody that had a White Elantra? No. Well, so then what were you doing with the information? Like, oh my God, he has bushy eyebrows, so this got to be him. And then if you're doing all your recon on him and you know that winter break is coming up, do you guys understand that they didn't ask for the historical data of Brian Kohlberger until get the warrant for that until 12/23, 2022? How the hell did you get that? What did you go that was enough probable cause for them to issue for you to get the remember when Ashley Banfield made a big deal about it? Because those aren't easy to get. How are you getting that on 12/23? How do you completely look away from the fact that there are two people that were not murdered and four of the people that were, and that 911 was called so much later? How do you move past the survivors? That why were these girls not harmed? How do you get past that? As investigators, that's the number one thing I'd want to know about. Especially if her bedroom is right there. I mean, we're seeing more and more stuff of like, women being involved with crimes. So you can't sit here and tell me that they wrote these girls off because they were girls. But you would just want to know why, wouldn't you? Like, why did nothing happen to them? So here you go. How bad was this? You had cops at the Sigma Chi fraternity house like lined up along the side of the road, like all the time. And here you're trying to talk to people that have White Elantras, and you come across Brian Kohlberger, and you just don't talk to him. That just blows my mind. And then everybody can say, "Oh my God," because they couldn't let him lead on that. They were onto him. Onto him for what? What are you talking about? You came out and told the whole damn world you were looking for the person that was driving this White Elantra, but you gave the wrong years. So of course he's not going to come forward because he doesn't have a 2000 and whatever year you're looking for. What do you mean you're not going to let him lead on that we're onto him? You put it out to the whole world. He knows he has a White Elantra. And he's also not a moron to know tactics of like, okay, so they have the year off by a little bit. They know that a White Elantra was there. They know that a White Elantra left the scene. If he's the killer, he knows that his White Elantra was there, and shit, they have it now on camera. Shit, you think there's going to be all this evidence in that White Elantra? You want to get that vehicle. Look at the probable cause affidavit that they used to search Brian Kohlberger, to search his parents' home and to search his vehicle. Okay. They did not use the DNA on the sheath. Okay. They had all of that information, guys, on the 23rd. So why did they wait? They had all of that information on the 23rd. That probable cause affidavit They had all of that on the 23rd that way. You don't need a warrant or anything to call people up on the phone, to go to their house, go to their office because, hey, we have a list of all the people that drive white Elantras after it went out to the public. What did you think he was going to do? Or was it that there was other people that you had your eye on and that you knew about, and that somebody then coughed up this name because he could be involved and, whatever, but that I'm going to cough up this name and out of the deal, I'm not getting in trouble. Gunderson has bushy eyebrows. I mean, we're talking about somebody that stabbed 4 people to death in their own home. Okay. Every single day that goes by and you're saying that nobody should be worried. Well, then you must have a motive as to why he killed these 4 people. If you think that nobody else is in danger, then you must have a motive. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. That's like when a husband and a wife have a domestic situation, he has no motive to harm anybody else in the whole entire world, except for that person, his wife. So like isolated targeted attack. So it got me to thinking about you put in your PCA how important the vehicle would be, that you think there's going to be this blood in it, and then the apartment's going to have the same thing. And then you talk about how you want to talk to the person. So you're putting it out there that we really want to talk to the person, that they know they're not. And they say they're like they're not a suspect. Okay, we just know that they have crucial information. We know that they have crucial information. Can the person or persons that were in that vehicle, come forward? It was seen driving, away in the vicinity. So is it at all possible that there were multiple people in the vehicle and that somebody that was actually in the vehicle came forward? So think about this. So somebody other than Brian Kohlberger comes forward to say, well, yeah, I was in a white Elantra that night and we were over in that area. Well, what were you doing? We were scoring some draw. I mean, did somebody from that vehicle possibly come forward? And then if you go to the whole informant aspect of it, well, who's this person that came forward and what were you guys really doing there? Unless you're going to immediately start to survey Brian Kohlberger, that means you have eyes on him, or like you're just gathering that information on 11/29, right? That you know this person. But the way Payne writes it in his PCA, that he this guy matches the description that Dylan Mortensen gave. And what description would that be? And maybe there's more of a description, but they just put that in that part, and there's going to be actually more of a description, you know? Let's see. So after they get to find out about Brian Kohlberger, they have this stuff coming back, which is Xana's Facebook banner. Okay, Google. Okay. The White Elantra, we ask for help. You guys understand, they ask for help on the White Elantra, even though they have Brian Kohlberger's name on 11/29/2022. Okay. He's fitting the description, okay, of your eyewitness. All right. So we're going to put it out there. Now, do you think a good question would be to ask your officers? You put out the year for the car and you never changed it. So when did you become aware that it was actually a different year? When did this FBI person change it and say, okay, yeah, it could definitely be this? When did that happen? Because you never asked the public for that. Well, when they asked the public for help with the White Elantra, the year was the wrong year of Brian Kohlberger's vehicle. So therefore, if you want Brian Kohlberger to come forward, like to ask him, like, why didn't you come forward? We've been looking for people that with White Elantras from this year to this year. I have a 2000 whatever. Like that's blah blah blah. Why wouldn't you change it? If you're truly asking for the public's help, I'm just curious, what's the date that you showed this FBI agent another photo or a video and he said, oh yeah, actually that could be this between this year? Because it never gets changed. They get Kaylee's Reddit account back on 12/19. And that's the search warrant that comes back that we have access to right before they ask for the AT&T historical data of Brian Kohlberger. And I think that's important. Obviously, we don't have it all, but this right there. It's like after you got back her Reddit account, then you get the historical data. And then this is between 12/23 and 12/29. They needed to get creative. Because I just don't understand. You're allowed to serve a search warrant and not arrest somebody yet. Okay? So why didn't they just serve a search warrant at Brian Kohlberger's house? You guys do understand that they got the search warrant to search his person, his parents' home, and the car. They were able to get that search warrant it has nothing to do with the search warrant and probable cause that they used to actually arrest him. It's completely separate. And they got it an hour before the judge in Idaho signed off. Okay. And so the people in Pennsylvania, they use this version of Payne's affidavit that is different from the version that he provides to arrest Brian Kohlberger. And is different from the version of the affidavit that Blaker used just hours later to obtain the search warrant in Washington. Okay. 3 different versions of an affidavit. Why? And people don't, they were afraid he would flee. They let him go across the country. I'm just saying, like, if you were not watching Brian Kohlberger, how is Dustin Blaker fill out his affidavit and say that I believe that Brian Kohlberger is in Pennsylvania with his family and that he is planning on returning? Okay. Because don't you think that you would, I believe they were watching him for a while. Were they trying to set up meetups with other people? Like, were people contacting Brian to like meet up and see what they could like get out of him and wire up people and do things like that? If BK is your dude, you don't want him to travel across the US, you call him in at some point, I would think. Well, I would just think that you would not that, you can watch him. You can watch him. You can, okay, but you that has to come from somewhere. You can't just sit here and say because on 11/29 that you came across this car that's a white Elantra, but it does not match the year. Oh, but he's 6'1", 185 and bushy eyebrows. Now, don't you think that you would you ask Dylan, your eyewitness person? Would you ask her, hey, do you know a guy named Brian Kohlberger? How's that play out? Show her some six packs. Hey, do you know any of these people? Have you ever seen these people? Do you know any of these people? And if you know any of them, can you tell me the name that you know them by? After Emma Bailey got arrested for her facilitating drug deals at the age of 22, and after I deep dived her everything about how she got to where she was, I came across other names: Sierra Windsor, Sky Windsor. And these are people that went to either, Washington State or Moscow, grew up in Moscow. But at the ages, she just didn't start slinging at 22. So, okay, these girls have no problem being somehow caught up in the game. And at some point you would have been approached in some capacity, or you got in trouble and then you turned informant. Okay. But if you have all these moving parts going on, they have no problem conducting any other interview. You have 500 interviews. You have no problem talking to any of these other people but Brian Kohlberger? Because we really believed he was our guy. When? On 11/29? Like, you conduct 500 interviews. But hey, you know what? But we are not going to talk to. But you talked to all these other people that you thought could be involved. You don't think that one wouldn't think that a boyfriend of this would be involved? You talked to them, didn't you? Did you not talk to? You're telling the world that you conducted 500 interviews. But you know what? We're not talking to Brian Kohlberger because this dude's smart. This guy's smart. It's a cat and mouse game. And no, how this was approached, in my opinion, I've been watching these uh there's a couple different episodes that I've watched where a guy I respect by the name of John Williams, who does a ton of work. Well, he's retired now, but police officer. And they did an episode or 3 or 4, I can't remember how many, and the intelligence that is used across, like, police forces working together, FBI, all this stuff. I mean, there's so many different avenues to be able to get information, share information, um, talking to people, talking to people's associates, bringing them in and talking to them and getting the information out of known associates to get to things. Okay. That type of approach is, you do that stuff. Those are like sting operations. These are like, and you do stuff like that when you don't know where the person's at. If you're trying to find somebody, if you're on a nationwide manhunt, okay, because you know the person that you're looking for, and so you're trying to find them. Okay, you're trying to find them because you can't find them. All right, you got somebody that's on the run, and you're trying to locate them. Right? Especially when you put out someone's picture and you're like, we're looking for this person, So instead of putting out the person's picture, you put out a vehicle. All right, we're looking for this vehicle. We need this vehicle. But they really didn't put out a picture of the vehicle. You guys know that? They put out a stock photo of the vehicle. We've never to this day seen the photo that the police have of the vehicle leaving. That picture that you guys have all seen from the gas station, that's not the vehicle, in my opinion. The police have never claimed that. Okay? That didn't come from the police. That came from the media. So when you're trying to locate somebody that you can't find, you do all these things and work with all these agencies because you're trying to find a person. If you know where the person's located, and every single day they wake up in the morning, they brush their teeth, they leave their apartment, they go to work, they come back, do it all over. 11, 29, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now parents in town, so it's spring or it's winter break, so now I'm going, leaving for the holidays, which is a normal routine, which is going and getting your hair cut, going to the doctors, all of these normal routines. Okay. The only reason you wouldn't take down Brian Colbert or talk to him or do anything like that is that there's so much other things going on. Because if you conduct 500 interviews, how does this person not make? How don't they make the bill? How do you know that he's not going to go kill his neighbor that didn't want to go out to dinner with him? that didn't give him the time of day. He just killed 4 people in the middle of the night. Because he's not going to hurt anybody else. Well, how do you know that? You're not in his mind. So if I'm not allowed to speculate on how this all went down, how can you speculate that he's not going to go murder somebody in the middle of the night? So like Payne and like Gunderson and everybody working this case. You took him down in the middle of the night at his home, his parents' home in Pennsylvania, for safety reasons of police officers. Okay? Right? In the middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, to catch the surprise of the attack. But the most important thing is to keep the safety of the officers, which is very important. And they just, boom, went in, right? So the only conclusion that is logic to me to come to is that the police in that town and the FBI in that town and across the country knew so much more of what this is about and have so much more intelligence on what this is about. This is not 4 random people getting stabbed. Remember, we don't know if the house was the target or if a person was the target. What's that comment? What does that even mean, right? But it actually means, if you now look at it, it's interesting. The house being the target. Well, what was that house an extension of? What would be going on in that house that people that could be there would be in jeopardy? And so if you have intel, all right, that PCA has zero ties connecting Brian to anybody if you actually read that PCA. Nothing in that PCA has Brian interacting on any type of level. No eyewitness that saw Brian Kohlberger. No web that you could weave that's in that PCA. Nothing is connecting Brian Kohlberger to any of the victims or the survivors. What you have is a vehicle that looks like the suspect's vehicle in the vicinity of the 1122 King Road house at a time frame that you deem the time of the murders? Would it be exculpatory evidence if the Emmy is saying that the time of death, or that the time of deaths were between 5 and 6 a.m.? Do you think that's exculpatory? Because I don't think it would be. Because I read it again the other day, the PCA, and I was just like, I know they have all this intel and they can't talk about it, but I don't believe it's because they want to like show too much of their hand. I believe because it involves an informant. But how credible can an informant be, depending on how they became that position or what they're telling you, and how would they know anything, and were they there? I mean, it's 500 interviews, guys. Brian Kohlberger wasn't one of them. So then my question would be is, okay, we didn't want to do that because we didn't want him to know that we were onto him. Why? What did you think that he was going to do next? If you talked to him, what was going to happen? What were they afraid that was going to happen? What do you mean you're onto him? Who gives a shit if you're onto him? Who cares if he knows that? This is about evidence. You can't change evidence. Now, if you thought that he was going to harm other people, that makes sense. So did you think he was going to harm other people? So then why even ask the public to help you with the white Elantra if you didn't want him to know that you're onto him? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm not putting myself in the mindset of, I'm putting myself in the mindset of the shot caller. And to me, this is a shot caller of something like this. Again, this is just my opinion, is that the evidence doesn't lie. People lie. Okay. Numbers don't lie. Facts, figures, so if you had, what was going to happen if you said to him, hey, where were you on such and such night? We've been going around the neighborhood and, talking to anybody that owns a white Elantra. I mean, what would that have? Oh my God, he would have said what? We didn't want to. And then I say to myself, maybe they did interview him. Maybe they did. Maybe the more obvious is that they did talk to him. I just can't imagine, you know, unless somebody came forward and was like, hey, yeah, I was with them because we were doing this. And then the FBI came forward and said, you can't bust it up this way. We've been doing this for X amount of months. We put so much money into this. Here, we're going to help you get your guy, but you're not going to blow it all up. You're not going to blow up what we've been doing and where we're at, because this is way bigger than that. So our informant's been working on, if he comes out and his cover's blown, then all this stuff that we're doing with, doing X, Y, and Z, it would have been for nothing. So you cannot do that this way. You have to go about it this way. Okay. So I guess I don't see why you wouldn't be able to ask Brian Kohlberger about his white Elantra, leaving out anybody for any reason. You don't have to say, Bob Smith told me you drive a white Elantra and that he was with you on Saturday night and you guys were driving around Moscow. What? No. You say exactly what I said, which is, obviously this took over the world, this news, and we're doing our due diligence and we're going around, and if you're on campus and you had a white Elantra, we pulled all the tickets on them, and here we came across yours. Do you care if we ask you a couple questions about where you were on Saturday night with your white Elantra? And then you think that Brian Colbert's gonna be like, oh, Bob Smith must have talked to you? What? You think that's what he's gonna say? And then Brian says, well, my white Elantra, I was sleeping. My white Elantra should have been parked right here. Why? I didn't go anywhere. I mean, oh, wait, you know what I did? I made a couple DoorDash runs that night, but that's it. And I came home. How long do you think that you were out door dashing? I don't know, from like 2 to 5. I can't sleep at night. So, I mean, I'm always home or so I'll DoorDash. How far do you go? Oh, some nights it'll take me out, I do DoorDash, I do Uber, I do it all. My car has so many miles on it. That's why. So think about if he would have said that. And then they're over here like, well, damn, yeah, his car takes this big old loop around 95. Then what they would have said to themselves. Or maybe that conversation was had. Who knows? But I don't understand why you don't think that you could have that conversation without blowing up some informant's world, because you wouldn't need to. I don't know. I'll speculate. DM is the one who contacted BK at 2:47 a.m. while K and M are calling Jack D. I'm convinced they had nothing until the second lap. Yeah, and I think that every piece that when we say that they have something, you got to go back and you got to say, well, how did Blaker not see the sheath? Blaker's been a police officer for a very, very long time, way longer than Payne. So, what is your opinion with all the evidence? What are you thinking? I'm thinking that I want everybody involved. I'm thinking that Brian Colbert, if he did this or if he's involved, it's not alone type of thing. But then I do have the whoever would do something like this and think that they're going to do it. What do you call it? You're going to find another sick mind or two or three to do something like this with you. You know, if I have no idea what you're doing versus I think we're going there to pick up a bunch of fucking drugs or a bunch of money, your plan to go rogue and start stabbing people, why would I be privy to that? You wouldn't have to tell me that, but it could still put me at the crime scene and there for whatever reasons, meaning like drugs or whatever. So to think that this would be that you have to have like-minded people that would stab people, I don't agree with. I think something went way wrong. I can't possibly think that you want me to consider this guy a crazy person and that he's just going to walk past Dylan and not stab her to death. I struggle with that. If Dylan would have never left her bedroom or whatever, but when she's going to say that she was coming out of the room and opening up the door, I also don't think that she'd be peeking out unless you're going to testify to, I heard a bunch of screaming. I heard a bunch of people arguing. Yes, we sold drugs out of that house. Yes, we did this. But I don't know why you'd be peeking out of your door. There's nothing to be afraid of. Yeah, your fear would come after you stepped out of the door, unless you heard people screaming and saying things like, But see, in that type of situation, I just think that you'd be using your phone in some capacity. And then for everything to be, just silent. Somebody walks past you, they don't have the sheath anymore. So where was the knife? And somebody walks past you in all black. They have a black mask. They have a ball cap on. What was her hair like? Was it a ski mask? Was it a surgical mask? Did you see a knife? And if you say that you didn't see the knife, okay, then how do you not see the knife? Where was the knife? The knife has no other place to be but what you closed up and you put it in your pocket. But this would have been like right after you were leaving, that bedroom. Okay, so I put it. But why would you ever put a knife away in your pocket if you're still in a home where there's people that could potentially, you would unarm yourself like that right after you would be in Xana's room? Okay, I got to put my knife away now so that the person that's in that bedroom can't see me with it. Come on, man. No. I don't think that you would disarm yourself like that. I just know also how lazy college kids are. To get up out of your bed, 3 times and to just go to the door but not just open it but never leave the door, why wouldn't you just text your peeps and say, or call them on the phone and say whatever, like say, what's going on? What's going on out there? What are you guys doing? It's 4 o'clock in the morning to text it. Especially like that's what people do. That's what everyone does. They text because everyone's a bunch of babies. And so everybody texts and they'll do passive aggressive stuff like, oh my God, can you guys just keep it down a little bit? I love you guys, but I'm just trying to sleep. LOL, I love you. Like stuff like that. Or like, oh my God, did you hear that upstairs? Hey, Xana, are you still up? Like, did you hear that noise? What was that? I mean, these are people that think about if you're in a house with other people. Unless you're just a mute and you're not social and you just, but my roommates would be like, Oriani, did you just hear that? Like texting me, like we would be conversing through, like screaming to each other in the house, like, texting each other, calling. For none of that to take place, and I think the reason why is because it was nothing out of the ordinary for them. And if the person had a surgical mask on, guys, like the COVID masks, I'm sorry, but that's not alarming to me because if it's not going to be a ski mask, I mean, people were wearing masks all the time like that. I don't. And guys, they live by like this weird code, like nobody calls the police. Like when I did my research into these sororities and these fraternities, you're not calling the police. So is it weird that she did not call the police? Nope, actually, it's not, because that's what they do. They don't call the police. They call friends. They call sorority sisters, fraternity brothers. I mean, and then if it's not weird for me that they woke up at 11 if they went to bed at 4 a.m. Like that's normal. So for them to be, then you could say, oh, with the smell or this, that, yeah. But I said surgical. I would never say cervical. That's kind of weird. Maybe it just came out weird, but I just saw that, but definitely didn't say that. It's how are you an investigator? And how do you just move past the roommates in a capacity of this? Okay, who did you guys have sleep over there that night? I'd be asking these girls every single question to know everything about all of these victims' lives. What has gone on in the past 3 months? Okay, because I didn't live there before then. I don't know. Why did you decide to live there? Why weren't you in the sorority house? You would ask them so many questions. Unless what? Unless they lawyered up. So how many questions did you get in until they lawyered up? And you can't sit here and tell me that they didn't lawyer up. Like, I just don't believe that. These are they have educated parents. They may have first talked or whatever, but depending on how soon they called their parents. I mean, don't you think that one of the most, I would call my mom. I'd call my dad. Oh my God, my roommates were murdered. And, but if I just had woken up to that, and I was asleep or whatever, and then we call 911, and then the next call I'm making is to my parents. Like saying that they need to come here right away. I also wouldn't feel safe if I was a roommate that did not get murdered. I would be like, I need you to come here right away and I need to leave. Like, get me the hell up out of here. Because you can't sit here and tell me that these 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds did not think that they would be next. What girl would ever think that they weren't going to be killed after something like that happens? Or if I have my own car, then I'd be like, okay, I'm coming home. But then what do you think the police officers are like? You need to stay here. So they're telling me to stay here. I don't have a place to live anymore. Okay. Where did they stay that night? Where was Dylan and where was Bethany? Did they stay at the sorority house? Did they stay in a hotel? And I'm telling you, like, the police were not like, oh my God, we're taking you guys into custody or anything like that. The police, like, they didn't even know who was there. They don't know how many people were in and out of there. You heard it in the pressers. Like, so it's just complete chaos. So of course you're gonna call your parents and you're gonna tell them what happened. And I think when you tell your parents that your roommates were murdered, I don't think that they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, you want us to just stay at the sorority house tonight? Okay, you're just gonna stay there for the next couple of days? Oh, not a problem. And if they were, me as a mom, no way. And I would be like, what do you mean murder? What are you talking about? Like, what would you do if you're a parent? I would go. I'd be driving there or flying there. I'd be right out there. You know. Um, and I think it'd be like just to be there with them. Not saying that I don't know. It would just be to be there for and with my child, and then I would take them out of there. There is no way in hell I'm leaving my kid, especially a daughter. No. And people can say, "Oh, you're just super protective" or something like that. It's like, what are you talking about? Nobody just goes in someone's home and starts stabbing people. And I'd be over here feeling so many emotions because I feel devastated for these other parents. I'm going to pick up my child. They're going there to ID their child. My God. And I'd be reaching out and saying, if there's anything that we can do, whatever, like whatever we can do. I don't know what we can do, but I mean, our kids live together. Our kids were good friends. You don't just live with anybody. But none of that happened, you guys. None of that happened. How does that not happen? I don't know. Maybe I'm just different. I'd be calling, and then if I was one of the victims' parents, I'd be wanting to know everything. I'd call those parents and want to talk to their kids and ask them, "Oh my God, like, are you okay?" And I'm so sorry to bother you, but can you tell me what happened? What's going on? What you know? Nothing like that happened. I mean, you can't possibly think that police officers were saying to family members not to talk to each other. I mean, do you think that was what was happening? Um, think about how easy it is just to get on. Like that was so soon. Okay, get on social media and hit up, you know, hit up all the roommates in the DMs. And then not even just like the roommates, then like like their other friends that they had that were the sorority sisters, hitting them up and messaging them in the DMs, and um, it just trust me, you guys are gonna be like everybody handles everything differently, but I think the feeling I would have is I'd be in denial and I'd be in shock and it would not be real. So I would be that's how I would be because I wouldn't think that it had happened. It wouldn't sit in like that for me, and there wouldn't be I wouldn't be in the grieving process. I'd be in the no way, what are you talking about? Like, and then even I believe after even someone was to tell me that, if it was an officer or something like that, I'd be like, what are you talking about? What happened? What's going on? Because I would be in denial of it. But that's, like I said, everyone's different. You're gonna have people that hear that and drop to their knees um, and cry and not be able to function and get out of bed. And so everybody is different. And nobody's wrong. It's just how you are as a person. But the person that grieved right away, and then when they get to a point that they are like, I want to know X, Y, and Z, and that type of stuff. And then you get it to the opposite way where you got the people that were in denial and not able to grieve yet. And then it flip flops for them and they're in a state of mourning. So I could relate to Mr. Gonsalves when he was saying things like, I'm not able to grieve my daughter. Got so many, that's, I think, how I would feel. So, and again, there is no right way, there's no wrong way to grieve or to process things. And so I think that there's families like they're not even thinking about what the police are doing, within the investigation. Their daughter or son is gone and there's nothing bringing them back. And so, no, I'm not even thinking about what the police are, who did this or who didn't. Or you do have people that will say that there's nothing bringing my kid back. So no, I'm not over here talking about what the police have or don't have. I'm mad at the world and it doesn't matter. But I just want to know why Brian Kohlberger would be so special to not be one of the 500 interviewed, and how you would know that he's the person that you should be like, we're not going to interview him, but we're going to interview all these other people. Now that to me is $1 million question, because there would have to be a reason for that, in my opinion. And it goes to the fact of how you got to Brian Kohlberger. Like I've been saying since day one when his name was mentioned and arrested. How the hell did you get to Brian Kohlberger when there's like nothing tying him to anyone that we know of? Well, I believe that the police and the FBI and all involved have that intel, but that intel is not because he was stalking or got mad at one of these people because they didn't want to date him or something along those lines. I don't believe that for a second. But how does Brian Kohlberger get caught up into some, he's only been there for 3 months. How is he involved with any like drug stuff? So it's a very weird dynamic. And then you shoot the vet, and like everything surrounding that. And then you have the Gonzalez's that their approach to it all. They know a bunch of stuff, and there's stuff that's missing, and for them to feel that type of way, I feel that type of way then, because I don't believe that they would just feel that type of way for no reason. And you would definitely not want people digging into your daughter, and because normally that's what they say to you is we don't want certain things to come out because we don't want her reputation or this, that, and the other. The Gonzalez's believe that their daughter was a good person, and I think she was. I think that all these, what could these people have been involved with that would make them bad people? You're not a bad person because of I'm sorry, but selling drugs doesn't make you a bad person. You made a bad decision. Good people make bad decisions all the time. They were just, the cops were all over Greek life, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's Brian Kohlberger. All these kids are doing all this weird stuff and like getting in these masks and having these knives and chasing each other around and gutting animals and putting deer nuts on each other's porches and stuff with knives and doing like weird shit to each other and making really weird posts on social media. Paying people Venmo at 3:30 in the morning, paying the first person to pay on Ethan's GoFundMe was Jack K, and it was for $6. I mean, I think that's just weird. But hey, maybe their favorite number was 6. I don't know. Maybe I know that wasn't his basketball number. They would Venmo each other $6. I mean, it was just, that was his really good friend. I mean, maybe that was like, his way of, but he was the first person. Um, I'm still curious to know who, for a fact, was that 6th person on the house. And their whole, do you guys understand that everybody's life in that house changed that last year? Their normal pattern of behavior of what they were doing for their freshman, sophomore, and junior year, okay, it completely changed that final year. So much so that they're not in their sororities anymore. They're all like living in a new place, well, except for Maddie, but like with each other. They had all never lived together like that before. Like everything. There's so many. When I say moving parts and X factors, August, September, October, 3 months, and then a couple, days there in November. Now, did they know each other? Yes, but like living together in that house and so the day that Brian Koberger gets a ticket or pulled over is August, that August date, 21st. Right before school starts. That's the next day, the 22nd. And what are the odds that these people start living together and at the same time Brian Koberger moves from across the country and his pattern of life completely changes, theirs change. And that these four were murdered and stabbed to death by somebody that had just gotten to the area 3 months before. What's up, William? Good man, William. Good man. I don't think that the Brady Giglio is a fishing expedition. I think there's more than one police officer. So, do we think that News Nation has the same source that is the violator of the gag order that's just tossing information to Ashley? I think it's problematic, depending on if, regardless, yes, this is problematic for the prosecution, because you're relying heavily on people's testimony. If it's police officers from their, shit that they've done in the past or whatever. But they're smart to bring it up right now. And hopefully they're trying to make it so that the jury never sees the light of day on any of this. So keep that in your back pocket, that the jury won't be saying shit of this. What is up, Alice from Pittsburgh? I know it's Banfield. We got Banfield on the Banfield. You guys remember that episode? We got the Banfield body cam footage here. It's Banfield here. Banfield. They don't know. God, no. They don't want a mistrial. No. They just... Moscow's been... Who's ever been talking about Moscow in the past how many years of life? You got this little town that literally just got put on the national scale, and they're getting every skeleton about them is coming out. And you got these little police officers that think it's cute to pour out, White Claws that they said were, dude, that's not. I mean, that's the let me tell you something. Cool police officers, okay, they don't pull moves like that. That's a dick move. Okay, that's a dick move. Pouring out. Why are you pouring out alcohol? That's a house that. What are you doing? Did you take that off of somebody that was not of age? Then what are you doing? They didn't abandon property. That's on private property. I mean, what the hell are you doing? So when you see that type of stuff, I'm sorry, but like, it's something as simple as that, and you may not. That's principle to me. That's just like that's character. Like, what the hell are you doing? But I love it. I love it. You know why? Because if you don't do things the right way all the time, you can't just flick it on. So like when this quadruple homicide happened, you think that these guys, hey guys, we got to, that they're going to just be patterns of behavior people and saying stupid stuff and, however it is they are, that's how they are. Well, all of this body cam that was on them is going to be dissected. And let's just hope that they didn't act the way that they did when they went for the noise complaints. But I think that they are. I mean, they're probably going to be doing what? Just standing around outside? And what were they doing? What were they doing from noon to 4? What do you think they were doing? I'm getting a hoodie that says, I'm only here for the noise complaint. Now I want to know who kept the crime scene log too. So Nancy Grace at her table, cringe, so terrible. Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna put my pop-up tent and table right next to hers. I'm gonna give her a wave. Hey Nancy, what's up, girl? Looking good. Got that makeup on? Oh, I see you, girl. Okay. Those eyes be looking killer. Oh, Enon's coming down from his apartment. Yeah, he's gonna come and co-host this next episode for me. Yeah. Stop on over in the tent later. Okay, I'll flip you a burger over here. Band field's going to be setting up in the band field. I mean, you guys know how I roll. Stop, I'm dying. That's what I'm going to do, though. Hey, Brian. Good to see you. How are you? Long time no see. Never seen you before. I mean, always on the TV screen. You look really good in person. Camera doesn't put on any weight for you. Looking good, my man. Very well spoken, Brian. Keep up the great work. I'm over here going live, and then you hear Nancy Grace. And can you believe it? There is no DNA in the car. And I'm like, oh God, guys, I can't go. I mean, you just hear Nancy, and I'm getting towered over. And I'm like, hold on a second. Nancy, I need you to keep it down. You do not get to scream and take up the whole block. Annie says, be careful out there, Lana. Bring an armed bodyguard. Hey, JLR, how are you? Get over here, you little nugget. Come here. I just want to give you a little nuggie on your head. Is it true that you buy your hats from Baby Gap? I don't believe that for a second. Hey, come here, say hi to everybody. JLR is running around. I can just see it now. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna follow him, guys. I'm gonna follow him around." Well, he's cameraing, and I just want to keep my camera on him. My GoPro, I'll strap it to my chest, and but Leanna, come on, come this way. I know they're gonna be coming out this way. You can get a really good shot. All right, let's do it. Hey, if you give me some good intel, I'll treat you to some, like, I don't know, where do you want to go? You want to get some burgers? I know you like a good burger. JRL pulls up in a white Elantra. That would be like, oh my god. You want to park that behind my tent here? Part of my prop? Thanks. We are live here outside of Marathon gas station. This is the clerk that was going through hours of footage. Ma'am, how long did it take you to find that vehicle? Hours. Like 15 minutes, actually. There's only like one white Elantra that ever comes to our town. So that's how we know it's Brian Kohlberger. Oh my goodness, really? Oh god, yeah, he's in here all the time getting our vegan wraps. Ugh. He's so weird. Oh, is he? Oh god, yeah. And you know what? I've seen that tan sheath before. I'm telling you. I told him that I would testify to seeing it. Okay, honey. Are you going to be taking the stand to talk about your discovery with the video footage? Oh god, no, the police didn't even want it. They said it wasn't even a white Elantra. I told them they were so wrong, and I gave it to News Nation. All right, guys. I am going to round this out. But in closing, I got a lot of new members, a lot of new people. I don't know if you guys are ever familiar with my thank you notes. Can we get the reservation? I don't know, probably. We could do whatever we want. Sorry, we're going undercover tonight. I want to play my thank you notes for you, but I can't find my phone. I'm so excited to tell you guys all about it. Here, I'll play it. Gosh, hi Morgan, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see all of you guys in here. I haven't even looked at my phone all day. Okay, so I don't know if you guys, but I'm gonna close this out. Let's see. Jimmy Fallon does it. And so what I did a year ago is I took it over, and I would end all my episodes with the thank you notes. Going undercover is fun. It is, isn't it? Oh, let's see.
Guys, it's the end of the week. That's usually when I catch up with some personal stuff. You know, I check my inbox every. Thank you, Chipotle, for raising prices. But if you really want to make more money, lower your prices and start charging for the bathroom.
So if you guys have ever heard the thank you theme song, I used that and thought I would do a couple for you. So here we go. Let's see. Oh, I love all of you guys. I wanted to give you guys a nice, members only deep dive. Give you guys also a place to communicate with each other in the chat. You know what I mean? You guys can talk to each other. Dear Officer Payne, please be honest the next time that you write a PCA. Love, Lana. Dear DoorDash, why do you come to my house at 5 o'clock in the morning and ring my doorbell? Oh, it's Brian Kohlberger? Okay, you can ring my doorbell. Love, Lana. Dear JLR, I can't wait to meet you in person. I promise I will ride shotgun and videotape you the whole time. The only reason I'm going to Idaho is because of you, JLR. Thank you for going to Murdoch's auction and buying his socks. Love, Lana. Dear Moscow, Idaho, I am a harmless mother coming to cover the case. Please be kind. Love, Lana. Dear mods, I'm so sorry for going live yesterday for 5 hours and making you sit through 5 hours of complete and utter bullshit. Love, Lana. Dear members, I'm so sorry that I pushed back this live today, but I was live last night for 5 hours. Dear subscribers, make sure that you ring my bell on the way out. Slap your touch DNA on the thumbs up. Love, Lana. Dear haters, thank you for always showing up. There's never an open seat in my chats. Due to you. Love, Lana. All right, guys. On the way out, you don't have to thumbs up this video at all. This is for the members. Love you guys. Be kind to one another. And I will see you tomorrow. I told you guys it's a weekend full of fun. So take care. Dear Lana, thank you for having balls of steel. Love, Annie. Dear Ashley Banfield, do you like your steak medium rare? Rare. Love, Lana. Have a good one, guys.